Thank you so much, Melanie, for having me. Really excited to share with the whole Facebook group on what we're building. I'll give sort of a high level overview and then sort of dig into the nitty gritty of the platform and walk you through how you can use it and sort of share the great feedback we've been getting so far. So I'm Chris, the CEO and founder of AnyDrawer. Essentially, let's go next slide. AnyDrawer combines a software platform that's easy to use with custom made to measure containers. And so it makes it really easy to create totally custom solutions for your clients that fit their space and their stuff perfectly. My background is in engineering and product, and I basically started going down this path when I ran into these sort of clear plastic containers that everybody's familiar with. And I became frustrated with the fact that they didn't really fit the space particularly well, nor did they fit my stuff particularly well. And so being a techie, I thought there had to be a way of solving it with software. After we've now been working on this for about a year. It's just coming up on a year. I'm really proud of what we've created. And so the containers themselves are designed to maximize space and have a clean aesthetic. They have an eighth of an inch thick, truly vertical walls, unlike many other sort of containers, which you lose a lot of space. They're stain resistant. I've put soy sauce and ketchup and hot sauce on these things, let it dry overnight, and then wiped them clean. And so they are a really good solution for spaces throughout the home, from the kitchen, the bathroom, crafting spaces. They can be used and they come in a series of different colors as well as different sizes. So here I'll show you sort of a range of different, so from very shallow spaces to very deep spaces to incredibly deep spaces. And so they can go where other storage containers can't, fitting the space and your needs well. For folks who are concerned about the environment and plastics in general, these are not petroleum based. It's actually a corn based bioplastic. And our supplier plants a tree per container that we're producing. They work out to be carbon negative. So it's a good option if somebody would otherwise be using bamboo or is concerned about plastics.
Love it.
And so why do organizers like our product? So if you're using commercial off-the-shelf containers, you play a bunch of Tetris you go to the store, you purchase a bunch of containers, and then you see what containers are going to fit and what containers are going to fit their stuff. This takes a lot of time. You're buying stuff that then you're returning. It's not a good use of your time or frankly of the client's money. So you can deliver a experience without having to do this sort of iterative guesswork process. They don't come covered in stickers, so there's not a lot of manual work around the install. They come ready to install, and they stay in place with a friction fit because it's made to fit the space specifically. And so you don't need museum gel or any other thing to sort of hold them in place because they're made for the space that you're putting them in. And then on the other side, it helps you deliver this wow experience for your clients. It doesn't look like a mass-produced plastic container. They have a clean aesthetic. They come in a series of different colors so they can match the space and the client's preferences. As I mentioned a moment ago, that they can fit in spaces that previously there weren't really good solutions for, whether it be a very shallow desk drawer or a medicine cabinet or a very deep drawer, which the options are pretty limited. Our system, we can create them at any size you want. And last but not least, the system itself is modular. So as your client's needs change, you can swap containers in and out. And so if you take the example of a utility or junk drawer, you might initially set it up with a series of longer containers. Perhaps they have like a barbecue lighter and a pair of scissors and different things in that space. But then the client has children and they decide they want to sort of kid safe the utility a drawer, so they can remove those items and then put smaller containers for different things that they're now storing in that space. And it all still looks the same, feels the same. They don't need to invest in an entirely new system. It just works and evolves with their needs. And so that's, and from an organizer standpoint, for folks who come back and see their clients quarterly or annually, this can be another great source of revenue because you're, again, just continuing to expand your work with them. And so now I will show you the platform. Has there been any questions come up in the chat?
I'm looking now. There were some people that were in the wrong spot, and so I just tagged them to come over to this live because I think they got lost. But yes, no, I will keep monitoring to see if questions come up.
All right, no problem. I will then share the platform. All right, so this is the other piece of the puzzle. This is the software platform. I've already showed you the containers. The software platform is designed to be incredibly easy to use, and I'm really proud that of the organizers who I've spoken with, which is now over 100 different organizers coast to coast, the one piece of feedback I'm consistently getting is, wow, this is easy to use, which makes me feel really good because that was my goal. We didn't need more complex software that you need an engineering degree to use. We don't need CAD software to do drawer layouts. We need something that's simple and straightforward. And so that's what we were very focused on creating. So when you're creating a layout, there's two different ways of going about doing it. One way is from one of our existing templates, which are these templates, and the other way is doing it from scratch. Both ways are incredibly easy, and I'm going to walk through sort of both as demos just to make the point. So with these layouts, I can click here and say, okay, so this just sort of gives you an example of what the layout would look like with these two long columns and then these smaller containers. And you can see that this would be the front of the drawer here. So you can then put in any dimensions that you want, and we're accurate down to the 16th of an inch because nothing is ever an even size in this world, and everyone else is making containers that are 3 1/4, and that just doesn't happen. So we do 18.
There we go.
And 2.5. All right. And so when I put in those dimensions, it immediately updates the screen so you can see the dimensions of each of those containers, and that is the outside dimensions of the container. You can then name the container anything that you would like, or the layout anything you'd like, and save it. And now once you've saved that layout, it's basically saved to your account, and so you can make any changes that you want to it. And so, for example, I have these 3 containers in a row, or actually in a column, and then these 2 long columns. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say edit layout, and then I can click this little plus button, and then that adds an extra container, and then they share the space here. And I can do it again. And so now I have 3 rows of 3 as a sort of grid layout, and save. And that shows you how easy it is to add. And similarly, if I wanted to remove a container, I can do that. Just click delete, and we have now removed that container. So now I have a 1, 2, 3 sort of layout. And the other one that often comes up is says, okay, I need to store something that's larger, like a spatula or something like that, that might be wider than 4 inches. And so we click edit layout, edit size, and now you can basically set a fixed width. And so I'll set this to 6. I'll set this to 6 even. Apply. And so when I set this to a fixed width of 6, it expands this container to 6 inches wide. And then all the other containers, because they still have dynamic width, they automatically resize in the remaining space. And so the key here is it makes it really easy to go in and change the layout and tweak the parts that you need, but you don't have to. And you also don't need to worry about, like, do all my numbers add up, where you're constantly sort of measuring and second guessing about whether or not the containers are going to fit in the space, because the system knows how large the total drawer is because you told it, and then it just subdivides it automatically and manages it all for you. It manages the width of the walls and the containers. You don't need to think about that at all. And so that's pretty straightforward. You can also change between the different colors. So we have the white color, a coffee tan color, a speckled marble color, a light pink, a gray stone, and a charcoal black. And we have examples of all these colors on the website as well. And then I'll show you the other way of creating a drawer, which is doing it from scratch. And so when you create it from scratch, it's the same idea. In this case, I'm going to do a utility drawer kind of thing. So I'll do 16 and a quarter and 2.5. Also on the screen, you can see that we have a concept of projects. So this was created with home professionals in mind, professional organizers, interior designers, etc. And so you can create a project, name it after a client, and then all of the drawers can be associated with that project. So you can keep all of those files together. So it helps keep everything organized if you're working on multiple projects for different clients all at the same time. We also support teams. So if you have a team of folks working with you, you can invite them all to your account and everybody can see everything. So you can all create layouts together. If multiple people are working on one project, so you have visibility across your entire team. If folks listening to this have a team and they want me to talk with them in general, I'm happy to set up a call and sort of give them more in-depth walkthrough on the team side of things. So you put in the dimensions. Say you've double checked the measurements. And when you start from scratch, what it does is it creates it just as a single container, edge to edge. And then you can click edit layout. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a sort of classic junk drawer layout where there's one row along the front and then 2 columns in the back that are further subdivided. And so to do that, I first split the space top to bottom. So that creates that row in the front. And then for this back portion, I create the 2 columns that are side by side. I can then click edit size here and edit the depth, bring the depth down to 3.5, and that pulls this forward. And so now I have this sort of classic sort of utility drawer layout where there's a column or a row in the front and then 2 columns in the back. And then as I want to, I can further subdivide it by clicking on the little pluses and making the space further subdivided as I need. So again, you have the sort of flexibility to make as intricate a design as you want, as a layout as you want, but it's also very quick to create just a simple basic layout that's going to fit your client's space perfectly. And that's the idea, to give you control, but not make it super tedious because we have enough things to do. And so then you can save it from there. And if you want to change the color, you can also adjust the height of the overall system. So just because the drawer is 2.5 inches tall doesn't mean that you have to make the system 2.5 inches tall. If you wanted to only make it 1.5 inches tall or 2 inches tall, for example, you can adjust the height here and make it shallower. And the main reason for doing that is, one is obviously if you have a very deep drawer, you might not want to have the walls go up 9 inches or something like that. And also if you have clients who are like elderly clients, perhaps having them be a little bit shallower makes it easier to reach into and pull things out of. And so you can really think about the usability of the containers and make something that fits what your clients really need. And then, so to give a sense, people that generally ask for price. So this is $71. All orders over 75 have free shipping. And that's generally what we're seeing in line, where a utility drawer sort of space, small to medium-sized drawers are around $70 to $100. And then a larger flatware drawer or desk drawer, those generally range from about $100 to $150. Prices can go up and down depending on how many spaces there are and things like that. And then the containers themselves, they're all made here in the USA, specifically here in Cleveland, Ohio. We produce them in 5 to 7 business days, turn them around and ship them to you. Yeah, and they're ready to install for your clients. So that is the basic run through of our platform.
We are getting some questions coming in. I am copy and pasting them into Riverside so that we can display them on the screen as we chat. So do you have any other things that you want to give us a rundown about, or should we jump into questions?
Let's jump into questions.
Okay, so our first question is kind of, obvious. What inspired you to start AnyDrawer?
Yeah, so as I said, I've been a maker for a long time, building different things, and I was trying to organize my own home and got frustrated by the sort of existing products, these sort of clear plastic bins, and I thought that there should be a better way of doing it, a simpler solution, and that's sort of what inspired me to go down this path. And the more I looked into it, the more interesting it became. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you learn that there's like a whole market full of people, like an entire industry that relies on these things being useful.
Absolutely. And professional organizers as a group of people are such a positive and great bunch. I've really enjoyed, as I said, I've now talked to over 100 of them coast to coast, probably closer to 150 now. And just, a great group of people that I've really enjoyed learning from, because it's a space that I'm new to. And but yeah, sort of the optimism. Whenever you're making something new for folks, there can be, sometimes people are not receptive or very skeptical, and in general, people have been very positive and interested, and so it's been lovely, coming towards the solution as opposed to like being skeptical of change. And so it's been great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Next question. And you can let us know if some of these things exist, if they're on the horizon, or if there's a variation of such existence of something. This one, can I import or link to actual products from the Container Store or Amazon?
Ooh, interesting. So no, the system is just for managing our custom containers. We've considered doing a system for existing off-the-shelf containers, like stuff from Container Store or Amazon or things like that. We might do something like that, but that's not currently on the plan.
Cool. Yeah, I think just to reiterate, in case you guys were joining a little bit later, the purpose of this is creating something completely and totally custom to the space. So you can use the space design software. I think people are really interested in the software too.
Yep.
What capability do we have there? Because there's nothing like that on the market.
Yep. Absolutely.
Cool. Next question. Let me make sure I'm not duplicating here. Can I save and reuse designs for future clients or similar projects?
Absolutely. So we both have a series of templates already in the account that you can use, and any layout that you create can be duplicated as a template. And so once you have a series of layouts that you really like, you can very easily just change the dimensions and then you're good to go. And that's exactly one of the ideas behind our system.
Cool. I love that. Okay. Sorry, we're getting some more coming in here, and I'm
perfect.
Just making sure that I capture them all. Oh my gosh. Okay. We're gonna save that one for later. I'm trying to go in chronological order here, people, so we'll get to them. Can I create a shopping list to share with clients or shop directly from it?
Yes. So you purchase through the platform. So when you create the layout, it'll have all the containers already as a list, and then you just put in a credit card and check out. Online checkout, and you can create multiple drawers and purchase them all at once as part of a project. And so, yes, it manages the shopping list for you. In the future, we intend to have the ability to create invoices and things like that so that you can share a proposal with the prospect or with your client. But that doesn't exist yet. But you do purchase the containers through the platform.
Cool. Love
and
that.
you can ship them to yourself or to your client, and you can use your credit card or theirs depending on how you want to do the checkout.
Sweet. Love that. This is an interesting one. What part of my workflow does this replace? I don't know if you can answer this question. Google Drive, Canva, spreadsheet.
Yeah. So what it replaces is going to either Amazon or Container Store ahead of time, purchasing a lot more containers than you need, getting to the home, then sort of putting the containers into the drawer and thinking about the layout, and then trying to put their stuff into the containers and sort of playing this game of Tetris where you like put a few containers in and you take the containers out. Maybe it's more like the hokey pokey than Tetris. But and so the idea is it saves you time because you just put the dimensions in, you say, here's the layout done. We produce the containers, ship them to you, and they're good to go. So that's how it changes your sort of workflow or process. And you can also order our containers ahead of time. So if you say, I want to have a bunch of containers that are 2 3/8 or 5 3/16 or whatever sizes that you can't get anywhere else, you can get both standard sizes as well as unique sizes from us. and we call that a custom set. So you can basically just produce a set of custom containers and then have those ready for your client as well. So if you work on a workflow of sort of showing up and doing a fast 2 or 3 day project for a client, then that's a good option for you. But if you have a client where they're doing a home renovation or a move and they have more time, then it does take 5 to 7 business days for us to produce and ship it to you. So you can purchase them ahead of time if you want to have them for a fast install.
Okay, that's amazing, because a lot of organizers will do move management projects, and we're always looking to have things on hand in weird sizes, especially for custom home builds. They're not always cookie cutter with the measurements. And man, it's like, if what we normally rely on is not available, it just makes the process of shopping for product really stressful on a time crunch. And so it's nice to have the ability to customize something on the fly. Here's another interesting question. Can I use it on the go, like during a consult or shopping trip?
Yeah. So the app right now only works on your laptop. So you can use it if you carry your laptop with you, which I generally travel with my laptop. So I can use that on the go. We will, and you can view everything on your iPhone, and you can check out with the iPhone, so you can purchase on mobile right now, but you can't actually use the layout builder on iPhone or Android yet. We're working on that, but it's obviously a much smaller form factor, and so we want to get the UI right. So in the future, absolutely. Right now, the experience is best done on your laptop. And actually, to that point, so if people are going to the website or have gone to the website, AnyDrawer.com, you'll find that you can't create an account. It's invite only. But if you, and we can maybe put this in the chat or something, if you email team@AnyDrawer.com and say, I speak organized, we will send you an invite to the platform so that you can then have access.
Great.
You can also, if you want to set up a call with me or my team to learn more, have a demo, happy to do that as well. But yeah, if you email team@AnyDrawer.com, I speak organized, we will send you an invite to the platform so you can create layouts yourself. And the tool is free to use. You only pay for the containers that you create. So there's no cost for you to use it.
Okay, good. That was actually one of the next questions. How much does it cost? And is there a plan to make sense if I'm just getting started? So you kind of answered that already.
Yeah. So yeah, the cost for our tool is free. We may in the further future have a subscription service to it, but for everyone who's joining now, we're giving free access. And it's perpetual free. We're not going to charge you in the future, just as a thank you for folks who are joining early.
Cool. Here's another one. What are the largest sizes you offer? Do you offer larger bins for freestanding shelves, for instance, like in a garage? Does that make sense?
Yes. So that's so we're going to be announcing our second product line very soon, hopefully in the next few weeks.
Oh, wow.
And so our first set of products were designed for drawers or flat spaces in general. The second product line is going to be designed for vertical spaces like cupboards, shelves, wire racks, things like that. And those containers will be stackable. And so you can have multiple of them on one shelf. And it will have its own design tool where you'll be able to put in the dimensions of the cabinet, and then it will use the same sort of system for just creating containers up and down to fill out a cabinet. And so we're actively developing this right now. And those can go up to around 19.5 inches in every dimension. So quite large. And in the future, we'll push it further than that. But they're mainly aimed at sort of cabinets and those spaces where there's not a lot of containers. If you're talking about like 17 inches deep or 13.5 inches deep, there's just not a lot of stuff there, especially if you then talk about height too, because most of those shelves are going to be probably 10, 11 inches tall. And so you can we can create containers for you that are 6, 7 inches tall and then 17 inches deep if you wanted to have them in that sort of configuration.
That's game changing right there. Like, I'm sold. Sign me up. Because that is so frustrating.
Yep.
It slows the process down a lot with setting up storage systems, and often it can be like a stalling point in the job for a lot of us and for our clients too, because they get frustrated and they don't want to spend the money, this and that, because it's not going to work. But if we have something that's like tailor made for the actual space or the shelf, and we don't have to really think about it, and you can use design software, like, that's a no brainer to me personally. We have a couple of last questions. I don't see anything else. Let me just double check the chat because sometimes I'll forget to scroll and see. Okay. Last couple of questions. We already talked about, last question here. I think you've already answered this, but just in case, do you offer a free trial or a demo so I can test it before committing? I mean, obviously the software is free. You did mention a couple of opportunities to get in touch with you for an additional demo, I think.
Yep. Happy to set up a demo call. Again, just email team@anydrawer.com and happy to walk you through that. We also do have samples that you can request on the platform so you can see the samples. So there's lots of ways of seeing the product.
To just put in team@anydrawer.com just so that you guys can see that on the screen. You can take advantage of sending Chris an email. So yeah, this was very informative. I think hopefully you're going to get lots of phone calls for demos out of it. People definitely had some good questions. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it. And perhaps once we've launched the next solution, you can try it out, and then I'd love to come back and share it with your audience.
Heck yes, that would be awesome. So we'll do like a 2.0 version. I most likely will be posting this on the YouTube channel as well so that it can reach a broader audience for a bit. Leave this one up so that you guys can continue to ask questions in the comments. AnyDrawer is a member of our Facebook community, so you can feel free to tag @AnyDrawer and ask questions on this video if you're watching the recording. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Email Chris, let him know if you have questions. You can email or tag me if you have questions as well. Chris, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording.